All right, so we hear the news. We hear the news of the analysts saying that now that this is a blueprint, the weak spot of the Cowboys, this is how you got to beat them. And I understand when you're coming off of a loss like the way the Cowboys, man, at one point at the time we saw it was 30-0. What a blowout. Now, the Dallas Cowboys, as it relates to Dak Prescott, by far, being 19 for 39 for 232 yards. The majority of those yards came in actual garbage time, by the way. I get it. And especially his QBR was, I believe, 24.1, right? And we know Dak Prescott had one of his worst games ever. But
he ain't lying.
In context, there were 2 touchdown passes to Ceedee Lamb that he overshot. That's a situation there. And then also the drops by the receivers, the injury, like the unknown injury that happened to Ezekiel Elliott, who was averaging 5.1 yards per carry. And that's even with a bum knee, Cowboy Nation. The 4th down play to Cedrick Wilson, the ball, I don't know how this ball just get out of his hand and it didn't go anywhere, right? And the punt block, the ball went forward instead of backwards. And number 25, I believe, that's Nashawn Wright, who touched the ball or what have you, and it's a live ball and fresh set of downs. They counted it as a muff, and the Denver Broncos recovered. And the biggest thing of it all, Cowboy Nation, the biggest thing of it all, time of possession. There's no way around it. It's hard to beat a team when you only had the ball for 18 minutes. There's 1 quarter and 3 minutes, basically. The opposing team had that ball north of 40 minutes. That's a long time. And, of course, if anything that anybody want to talk about exposure, that defense was on the field for a long time. And shout out to MyNamelsAustin. Shout out to him for bringing up most of those points there that we just went over. Right? And when we going through this, all this week, you will hear the 4-Letter Network talk about these things, the downfall of the Cowboys. They may not mention the actual Buffalo Bills nor the LA Rams, and I get it. We are the punching bag of the NFL. We draw the most views. And, hey, when they're talking about us good, we listen. When they talk about us bad, we listen. But it's one particular show in the morning time. I mean, Key and Max Kellerman, they did a hell of a job. Jay Will, I believe that's his name. He did a wonderful job of going through real objective analysis. Let's listen to some of their audio. I really appreciate those boys, because they got it going. They got it going on the right way.
The Cowboys are a good team. The problem with them is expectations are so high that the moment that something goes left, I can only imagine what Michael Irvin and Stephen A. going to be doing on First Take today. I can only imagine. This is right up Stephen A.'s alley. He got an opportunity now to just go and punch Michael really good because the Cowboys lost at home.
Expectations always high. Expectations with the Cowboys are always high. And, of course, the bit with Stephen A. Smith, he got to do that for the views. And the bit with Michael Irvin, the playmaker, we love him, but he got to do it for the views. ESPN is so down with their network, they are thinking about discontinuing, as it relates to money and views or what have you. They finna discontinue the ESPN Classic because nobody's watching their content. And it's hard to sell advertisements and ad revenue to something that nobody is getting the clicks for. So these talking heads, they got to talk about the Cowboys, or they got to talk to bring tractions. And why not talk about the Cowboys? You got a organization that's either you like them or you hate them. And it just, either you love them or you hate them. There's no in between. There's no in between. And that's just how it goes. All right, so now Cowboys are so polarizing that even Cowboy fans can't stand Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? So that's how crazy this is. But neither here. Good point by those boys on that one. Let's listen to the next topic right here.
Be real about it, though. Dak wasn't good at all yesterday.
Nope.
Though.
He wasn't.
He was bad.
He was bad.
And I'm not going to sit up here and say he was rusty or, obviously there are things that happen, but he got a lot of pressure on him. He didn't play to the level that we know Dak to play, which was in the MVP conversation.
But Jay, I'm glad you said that. Everyone's like, well, no excuses. You can't use an excuse, and that's
bad
true.
yesterday.
But the bottom line is, it's out of the ordinary when a guy misses 2 or 3 weeks or doesn't play for 2 or 3 weeks, comes off an injury, and plays well. But I think everyone's like, well, you can't use that as an excuse. But can you use it, Key, as an explanation? 2 or 3 weeks you don't play, and then all of a sudden you're coming off an injury, and you may not play. And you're facing a Fangio defense and everything. You may not play well.
Man, Max Kellerman, man, he's spitting nothing but the truth, and I like it because it's fair, objective analysis because of the fact that, hey, you're expecting Dak Prescott to come off of a 2 weeks, because basically he have not played in 2 weeks, for him to come over here and to light it up. I love it. Now, Jay, he did brought up the point that, hey, this wasn't Dak Prescott's best game. Let's be honest with it. Yes, that's fair and reasonable. But it's not the time now, Cowboy Nation, to leave and jump off the bridge or jump ship. Yeah, that's a better way to say it, not off the bridge, but jump ship on Dak Prescott because of one bad game, coming off of not playing for 2 weeks. And we don't know what he did in those 2 weeks because everything been covered as relates to throwing the ball. I love it. I love it. This is real analysis right here, Cowboy Nation. A real analysis.
Yeah, he might not. Losing timing in practice is different than timing in the game because everything is sped up. So the speed is different.
Listen.
You see things different. Some of the things that you may have seen in practice that you thought that's what the defense was going to do, and you hit it in practice because it was easy. You're going up against air, or you're going up against defensive players that's going 65%, where they're going 100% in games. So things are just faster. Windows are closing faster. Where in practice, the windows stay open forever. You back there all day long, just really, nobody's hitting you. There's no rush.
No fear factor, really.
Nothing. It's a totally different situation in the games. But I'm not worried about the Cowboys. I am not worried about the Cowboys one bit.
The Rams on the
other hand. And I'm not
hand,
worried about the Rams either.
I'll say this. The Rams did get manhandled up front.
Now, of course, Rams lost. Oh, my goodness. The Bills, they hold it in L. And there's no blueprint to them, right? There's no weak spot. There's no analysis that's going on and saying, okay, this is how you're going to beat the Rams. Oh, this is what exposed the Bills. So all of a sudden, the Cowboys lose in a horrible game, by the way. Horrible game. And they get exposed, right? So do that mean that when the Cards lost last week or what have you against the Packers, were they exposed? Is that the blueprint? Was the blueprint on how the Titans beat the Rams? Could that be the exposure, the blueprint there? I love it. I love it.
And Stafford and that offense, when they're clicking, it's like everything's coming out smooth and easy. It's just going. And they got, I don't know, for lack of a better word, disrupted. But the Titans defense, that was the softest defense in the league beginning of the season.
Listen.
Yeah. I just want to go back to the Cowboys for a second. I don't have any concerns for them as it relates to their offense.
Okay.
The defense is interesting, right? Because I think we've gone to extremes pretty quickly. We went from last year being historically one of the worst defenses in the league to this year, look how much their defense has improved, which it came out of the gate hot. I think we're starting to find that middle ground because their secondary got carved up, man. Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams, Teddy Bridgewater was able to carve up that secondary, and that's going to be something to pay attention to for the Cowboys, how that secondary, can they still get that same pass rusher attack? Something you have to pay attention to for them in order for them to continue to hit their ceiling.
No doubt. My thing is with this, the defense, I'm thinking that they are pretty much another year away. Hell of a job of drafting Parsons and hell of a job of drafting Osa. Those two boys, man, they had a hell of a game. Osa had a hell of a game. And when we think about everything, Cowboy Nation, let me just pull up. Parsons had 10 tackles for 8 solos. Even Leighton Vander Esch, now he was slow to to arrive at some of those things, but he had 12 tackles and 7 solos. But Osa Odighizuwa, he was the guy that was creating that pressure, getting up inside the middle, and I like what he brought to the table against the Denver Broncos. Now, could it be better? Yes. But here's the thing. I'm looking at it like this. The Cowboys are maybe another year away on the defensive side of drafting someone else that can ignite that spark. We see it out of Parsons. Hey, shout out to J-Ron Kurtz. There are some things that he will have to work on as it relates to coverage, but I like what they're doing when they play him inside the box. Trayvon Diggs, not his best game, but now we just need to marry that up with another cornerback on the opposite side of the field. All right, I meant to say safety. If we can get a dynamic safety somehow in this next draft or acquisition, I believe that can really propel this team. Safety, linebacker. We got to figure out a way to improve in those categories. Shout out to Parson for what he's doing, but we need to find another safety as well as an impactful linebacker to marry that up with what Diggs is doing, as well as when we get a chance to see Parsons play primarily only at linebacker, and of course, if we ever get a chance to see Kevin Joseph out there. And let this thing play its way out. Now, no shade at Anthony Brown, no shade at him. Played a solid game, but it could have been better. There were some opportunities that was left out there on the field. And, hey, we can go back and forth about Jordan Lewis, right? We know that we need some improvement in the secondary. But this offense is what makes everything go. And for what the defense did on the field, they was on the field a lot. Like I said, 40 minutes. It's hard to be on the field for that long of a time. And the offense laying the egg. But let's listen to more what these guys got to say.
I still think they got a decent defense. I'm not worried about the points that they surrender. They're sitting at a pretty good clip right now. This game against the Broncos is just one of those games.
Facts, Key. Facts. And for everybody that's willing to jump ship from Dak Prescott, just keep in mind, man, every quarterback goes through this, Cowboy Nation. Every quarterback. It's just that we are the Cowboys, and expectations, just like they said in the opening, are always high.
We were talking about quarterbacks earlier. So you have one bucket of quarterbacks, Dak and Stafford, and you're like, oh, those guys talented. Then you have another bucket of quarterbacks, Tannehill and Bridgewater. Okay, to one degree or another, they can game manage and help your team.
All right, so Bridgewater, we know he's a good quarterback. Is he a great quarterback, elite quarterback? I'm not finna put him in that category. He had a hell of a game. Tannehill, same way. Now, when we talk about tiers of quarterback, of course, Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott, they in the same room, basically. One could argue that Dak Prescott is a little bit better. We're not finna go back and forth with that, Cowboy Nation. I get it. Some people, regardless of what Dak Prescott do, they're going to always paint him as that horrible quarterback. And he's the only quarterback in the National Football League that can't have a bad game. I get it. All right, so looking at the playoff standings, the Cardinals are 8-1. The Packers are 7-2. Shout out to those two teams. The Buccaneers 6-2, by the way, and as well as the Dallas Cowboys 6-2. Now, the Rams 7-2, the Saints, the Falcons, and as well as the Panthers, they are all fighting for that other spot in the playoffs. And they got a chance and an opportunity to do such. But the Cowboys, hey, Packers, Buccaneers, those are the two teams that we're sitting there looking at it like, okay, if they get another loss, and of course we just do what we got to do, we're in a good situation, Cowboy Nation. And then we face the Cardinals down the line. We just got to stay focused, lock in. I get it. I absolutely do get it. The game that we got butts whooped in was at home, but I still want home field throughout the playoffs. I'm greedy. And this is a wake-up call. So my thing is, Cowboy Nation, let's not fold up like a wallet or a launcher. Continue to support this team. Continue to stay focused. Let's lock in for the next week opponent. And if we look anything like we did this week or what have you against the Denver Broncos, if we look like that again against the Atlanta Falcons, then we can say, hey, let's press that panic button a little bit. Let's just look at it at least, not necessarily press it, but let's look at it, and then we can go 0 dark 30 over there. We'll go 0 dark 30 over there. Get what I'm saying, Cowboy Nation? Is it me or is it just football? Let me know about this switching of the offensive line. I told everybody that is the only unit that you really don't want to play around with, right? Was that a lot of moving around of the right tackle and the left tackle? So those two was back new again, right? Could there have been another way, right? And I'm not sitting here saying that Terrence Steele is better. But, man, both of our tackles played like boo-boo, garbage last game. They're going to have to fix that. And for what I've heard from Duke Manyweather, it takes at least a couple of weeks before you get that muscle memory together on the left tackle side. So, Cowboys either ripped the Band-Aid off and said, okay, here you go. Because Dak Prescott, there was a lot of plays on those edges that he was running for his life. We're going to have to fix that this week. And I'm quite sure they're looking at the tape today and tomorrow. And they're going to see what they can put out there on the field Wednesday. Post me your thoughts. Post me your concerns down below. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Go Cowboys.